Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak to my sister because she wouldn't let my daughter be a flower girl at her wedding? She originally was a flower girl, causing multiple family members to boycott too. So I, a 28-year-old female, have a sister, a 26-year-old female, who got married last month. Also, we're not from the US. Anyway, I'm going to be blunt. My sister has always been one of those people that has to have everything perfect, to the point that sometimes it was hard to be around her. But she is my little sister, and I have no other siblings, so I always made excuses when she'd hurt me when I wasn't doing things right in her eyes. I was kind of worried when she asked me and my daughter, who is 4, to be bridesmaid, because I knew she was going to be a massive bridezilla. Over the last few months, we've had to practice multiple dances, pay for very expensive dresses, and put up with her tantrums. I told her from the start that if she was in any way nasty to my child, I wouldn't stand for it, and she assured me she would never be nasty to her favorite person in the whole world. Well, now her husband's little cousin, who is 8, started coming to dance practice with her mom, and my sister started to ask her to do little things like show my daughter how to throw the petals. I honestly thought she'd make them both flower girls for a while, but when she started to make my daughter sit out practices and have the other little girl do her poem, I knew what was going to happen, but prayed I was wrong. So I invited her out to coffee a few weeks before the wedding and asked her what was going on. She told me she was glad I brought it up because she was looking for the right time. Apparently, my 4-year-old wasn't doing everything right, and she was afraid she was going to mess up her vision by saying the wrong thing or not dancing right on the day. I told her my daughter was doing a pretty good job and everyone was always praising her. My sister giggled and said, "It's not their day now, is it? So it's not up to us what's good enough for her wedding." I asked her straight up if she thought her niece wasn't good enough to be in her wedding, and she replied with, "Not for something as big as a flower girl, but to attend." I asked her how I was going to break it to my daughter, who was excited about being part of the wedding, and she just told me to figure it out. I told her I'd give her a day to rethink her decision. If not, we wouldn't be attending, and I wouldn't be speaking to her ever again. Then I left. Well, 2 days went by, and I couldn't put it off any longer. I broke the news to my child, even though I tried my hardest to sugarcoat it as much as possible. The news still broke her heart. She cried herself to sleep, and so did I and my husband. Well, after a week when I was a no-show for anything else, my sister started to panic and got every family member to talk to me, and even drop off gifts for my daughter. When I told them why we weren't participating, a good number of our family, including bridesmaids, dropped out. We ended up going away for a few weeks with no phones. When we came back, my sister had sent me multiple letters and emails apologizing, and her in-laws and husband have called me an a-hole for doing what I did. I feel like I may be the a-hole because I could have tried to talk to my sister more and told the family not to take sides, but my anger wouldn't let me. Poster responds to comments. Yeah, she does that as a way of not sounding mean, like when someone says something rude by text but puts LOL after it, or when someone smiles while insulting you. Additional information from Poster's comments. My sister didn't reimburse me for the dresses we paid for. She thought until the day of the wedding I was going to attend, so she wouldn't let anyone else buy them off me. But I did return them and got my 1,550 mole back. In the end, the gifts she dropped off were dresses and shoes for my daughter to attend the wedding in, but I sent them all back to her. I don't want my little girl thinking it's okay for someone to mistreat her as long as they get her a present afterward. Update. My brother-in-law saw this post and told my sister, who cried while reading all your comments. How do I know? Because they showed up at my job knowing I wouldn't want to make a scene. They've begged me to delete the post before people they know would see it, and they kept apologizing. Finally, my sister said that she might be pregnant, and I told her that even if she is, pregnancy doesn't wash away all the crappy things she's done. I hope her husband's siblings never treat her child the way she treated mine, because I don't plan to be a part of her life. She busted into tears, saying she was sorry and that she loves my daughter, and I told her to leave before I called security. Her husband tried to talk to me alone because I was making her so upset, and everyone was called toward them because of me. I told them no. Everyone was cold because Cinderella and Prince Charming forgot that after treating everyone like crap, no one wanted to be in their happily ever after. They didn't like my mocking tone and raised their voices at me, so my boss, who knows the situation and has a 5-year-old herself, so she's on my side, stepped up and told him to leave. My sister's mother-in-law reached out to my parents, asking for everyone to meet up on neutral ground so we can all work out our differences. I'm going to go to this dinner party because I want to hear their story and officially tell them to leave me alone. I will update you guys. Final update. My sister's photographer saw this post and reached out to me on here. She knew my full name and gave me her Instagram to confirm, and this goes deeper than my daughter not dancing right. Apparently, she overheard my sister's mother-in-law and aunt-in-law talking in the bathroom. They used racial slurs against my daughter and husband and called me the black man's floozy. The photographer said they were both drunk, but that my brother-in-law also made jokes around my sister earlier in the day, which she smiled at. She also thinks my family members heard this, and it's the reason they dropped out. So, yeah, my daughter wasn't a flower girl because, unlike me, her aunt or the other flower girl, she doesn't have blue eyes and blonde hair. If you're reading this, Sarah and Frank, if you and your family think my child is too good to be around trash like you both, stay the F away from us. And to anyone in my family that knew the real story and didn't tell me, F you too. I've posted what happened in the group chat, the full story, and many people are outraged. They are washing their hands of her because there are people of color and mixed people in my family, cousins and spouses, but there are a few trying to defend her. So I guess they are the ones who knew. My parents are equally disgusted with my sister. I'm sorry if this is a mess, but I'm extremely overwhelmed right now. Also, I thought I'd answer a lot of questions that keep getting asked because I'm tired and will be going to bed soon. 1. My parents are fully on my side, and so are multiple other family members. The ones that aren't have been cut off. I found out 3 family members, including a bridesmaid who dropped out, knew the whole time, and my uncle overheard things. Not about my daughter, but about another uncle's wife, but wasn't too sure because he was drunk, so he didn't think to mention it. My husband and I hold nothing against my uncle because he is an alcoholic, and it was an open bar, so you can guess the state he was in. 2. My daughter doesn't know the full story, but as a treat for all of us, we plan to take her to Disneyland for Christmas, and my parents have said they will join us. 3. As for my sister, some people have mentioned she might be in an abusive relationship. Well, her husband is from old money, and his family is very well connected in England, which is something she always wanted. So, I don't know, but if I believe she's being abused and was afraid to speak out, that's a different situation. But my husband will have to be on board with everything, and it's up to him to forgive her. 4. I've seen a lot of people making fun of the fact that I and my husband cried ourselves to sleep the night my daughter found out. We didn't cry about her not being a flower girl, nor did we cry while she was awake. We cried because our child was extremely hurt, and there's no worse feeling than your child thinking they're not good enough for someone they love. And for the commenter who is extremely nasty about my husband crying, a father's love is equal to a mother's love. Men do and are allowed to have emotions. Do better. Thank you, everyone, for the love and support, but especially thank you to the photographer who came forward. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention before I let them back into our lives. You're a real one.